Yo, what is up guys? Ethan here, back with another video, and today we're going to be going over my favorite players at each position in college football. Now, of course, some of these guys are going to be the top tier guys. If you had top players on your team, I would not be surprised if you liked them. So yes, this is definitely like top tier heavy, but the majority of my guys are guys that are really good. They're star caliber, but they're still under the radar on a lot of people's opinions. And then of course I have that one or two players that are going to slip into there that everybody doesn't talk about or is from a small school. I did keep this in the FBS, so all Power 5 and non-Power 5 conferences, but that's it. So you're not going to be seeing some players from Alabama State, Villanova, and all that stuff. So I just want to make that out of the way. And yes, Parson Adibo is going to be one of my players, but we're going to be going by each position. One more thing I do want to point out, each position either has 2 or 3 players. So I decided to go with 2 or 3. I just wanted to do it that way. Like for example, I have 3 wide receivers, and 3 safeties. That's just what I'm memorizing. But there could be more. I doubt it, because I'm just going from the top of my head. But yeah. Before I start, I just want to say I didn't have any time to make graphics. So yeah, it's just going to be the thumbnail. So you can easily just go on your day and just listen to this video, because there's going to be no visuals. So yeah, let's get back into the video. So now we're going to be starting at the quarterback position, and my top 2 favorite quarterbacks in college football is going to be Jaden Daniels of Arizona State and Panx Jr. of Indiana. So these guys are just, they are good. Jaden Daniels is going to be considered the second best quarterback in the Pac-12 this upcoming year. He had a fantastic true freshman season, and he was just phenomenal in that season. And even though he lost some of his key pieces, he's still going to be the focus player for the Arizona State team until he leaves. I'm just going to say it. And then Micah Parsons Jr. I'm a really big fan of. I'm pretty sure he's left-handed. I could be wrong about that, but he is a phenomenal player. If you watch him in Indiana, he's going to be a great quarterback for that Indiana team, and he's probably going to be just like Daniels. He's probably going to be that face of the offense for this upcoming year. So those are my 2 favorite quarterbacks. They're not, of course, the top. I don't know what I'm trying to say. They're not going to be the top quarterbacks like Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and Sam Howell. But both of those guys are definitely going to be really good quarterbacks this upcoming year. At the running back position, 2 top tier running backs that are way underrated than people think they are. Kenneth Gainwell of Memphis and Verdell of Oregon. And if you have been on the channel for a long time, you guys know I'm a huge Kenny Gainwell fan. And I literally, when I made this list, the top 2 players I thought of immediately were one, the wide receivers, and a Kenneth Gainwell. He is going to be amazing this year. He was a redshirt freshman. He came in, exploded, and probably was the best player on that Memphis offense last year. So he's not only a runner, he's a pass catcher. And maybe besides Verdell, the type of running backs I personally like, that are my favorite, are running backs that can get out of the backfield and catch the football. That's why I like Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley so much in the NFL. So I think Kenneth Gainwell is definitely going to be a great running back. And yeah, and then also for Verdell, people say he's praised, but people really don't realize he had back-to-back 1,000 yards rushing yards for the past 2 seasons. And especially now that Herbert's gone, he's going to be the face of that offense this year. And I think that's definitely something that Oregon is going to prioritize this year, is getting that run game going with Verdell and the other Oregon running backs. So even though I'm a big fan of Verdell, he's probably going to put up some monster numbers unless you get injured in this upcoming 2020 season. Now we're going to go on the wide receivers. And I have Rashard Bateman of Minnesota, Tylan Wallace of Oklahoma State, and Warren Jackson of Colorado State. Rashard Bateman, in my opinion, yeah, in my opinion, is my favorite player in all of college football. And he was so fun to watch last year, and now he's going to have a more important role this year now that Tyler Johnson is in the NFL. I'm pretty sure with the Bucks. But I always liked that Minnesota wide receiver core going into last year, and they were one of the best. And even though it definitely got hurt, coming out of it, Rashard Bateman by far is my favorite, and he's definitely a guy I'm going to be looking out for. Wide receiver is probably the position I like the most. Most people say quarterback. I personally like wide receivers more. My favorite player in the NFL is Julio Jones because I'm a Falcons fan, and he's the best receiver in the NFL in my opinion. So I definitely think Rashard Bateman is going to be a beast. And everyone says he's only a top 5 receiver. I think besides Jamar Chase, he's the best wide receiver in college football. Tylan Wallace did get hurt last year for that Oklahoma State team. And like you guys know, I'm a big fan of this Oklahoma State team. And Tylan Wallace is going to be a key part of it, besides, of course, Chuba Hubbard. Tylan Wallace is just going to be amazing this year. I'm going to say over 1,000 yards, unless he gets hurt again like last year. And then my third wide receiver is Warren Jackson. And going into this year, I really didn't think of him as a player. But once I did that top 5 under radar players, I started to look into him more, and he quickly became one of my favorite players. I could be wrong. He's like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", pretty good speed. He is going to be a beast in this year for Colorado State. Arguably the best player on that team. And since where I live, we really don't get Mountain West games, I'm going to be trying to watch as many Colorado State games as I can just because of this guy right here. Next position is the tight end, and I really don't know that much about the tight ends, so the two I decided to go with is definitely 2 of the top 4, and that's going to be Pat Freiermuth of Penn State and Charlie Kohler from Iowa State. I do like Pat Freiermuth because Penn State is one of my teams that I like. I really don't have a plain out favorite. I just have teams that I support. So that those 2 teams that immediately go to my head is going to be Penn State, Oregon, and then maybe also Minnesota. But I really don't have a favorite team. I just have favorite players, and wherever they go, I just support them. Besides the Falcons, I really like them. But that's besides the point. Pat Freiermuth, I like how his tight end game plays. And then for Charlie Kohler, he doesn't get as much hype as he deserves. Really good tight end. I could be wrong. He led the team in receiving last year. He's 6'6", and he's definitely a good tight end. So going to offensive line, yeah, I have 2, and that is going to be Panay Sewell of Oregon and Trey Smith of Tennessee. It's really hard to say what your favorite offensive lineman is going to be. I decided to go with Sewell because I really like what he did for Oregon last year. Like I said, I do like Oregon, and yeah, I think he's probably the best offensive lineman in college football since Trent Williams. And then Trey Smith, I forget which video I talked about him in, but even though people know he's good, I think he's way better than people say he is. Maybe because he has a little bit of injury issues and all that, but Trey Smith is probably the best player on that Tennessee football team, and I'm a huge fan of him. So going to the defensive ends, and for the defensive ends, I have 2 guys, both from Oregon, the state. Kayvon Thibodeau of Oregon and Hamlet Rasheed Jr. from Oregon State. And Kayvon Thibodeau, like I said, I do like Oregon, so the Oregon players, of course, I have some bias for. And Thibodeau was phenomenal in his freshman year. And yeah, people are already saying that he's a top 5 player in the Pac-12, which is already crazy. But Hamlet Rasheed, most underrated player of all of college football, in my personal opinion. I brought this up in my Pac-12 video. That's mainly because he does play for Oregon State. But yeah, 14.5 sacks last year for a linebacker is just crazy. I only put him in this defensive end position because there's really no other defensive end I really like. And he did play a few snaps at that defensive end position at Oregon State, so I decided to Okay, I'm sorry about that cutoff. My audio just messed up a little bit, but what I was saying is Rasheed, he's only in this position because he did play a few snaps at defensive end at Oregon State last year, and that's why I decided to slot him at defensive end. And Rasheed's going to be a beast in the NFL, so watch his name for this upcoming year. Now we have defensive tackle, and defensive tackle is probably one of my least favorite positions, but I really didn't have a favorite defensive tackle until I was doing research for the Big 12 team rankings video, and I found the Stills brothers, and they have easily became my two favorite defensive tackles. Even though Dante Stills, I think he's going to stay for his senior year next year, Darius Stills is just amazing. I'm pretty sure both of them had over 7.5 sacks last year individually. And yeah, they're going to be the key face of that West Virginia defense, maybe even the West Virginia team for this upcoming season. Darius Stills, both of them are very underrated in that part, but I really like this brother duo at West Virginia, and yeah, they're probably just going to only improve off of this year, and there are probably some names to watch out for this upcoming season. Next, we have that linebacker position, and like I said, I do like Penn State. So my favorite linebacker is Micah Parsons, the best linebacker in all of college football. So Parsons, great in zone coverage. I think he had over 6.5 sacks last year. I'm not exactly sure on that number off the top of my head, but Parsons, phenomenal linebacker, probably a top 10 pick if we had the NFL draft for this upcoming season now. And then my second is going to be Nick Bolton from Missouri. So a lot of these guys you've seen on my thumbnails. Nick Bolton is just another guy. He was on the SEC team rankings. Very great linebacker. Very underrated linebacker, I would say. Even though people give him his recognition, I think the general college football fan needs to know this guy's name. I know Missouri's not going to do good this year. And even if I do watch a Missouri game, the only reason is if Missouri has a breakout season like what Baylor and Minnesota did this year, or Nick Bolton is just dominating his opponents. Nick Bolton, like I said, great linebacker, needs more recognition. That's why he's one of my favorites. Now we're going on the corner, and yeah, we're going to start with the guy on your screen, Parson Adibo. This guy, I did some research. Same thing with, I'm not going to say Hamlet Rasheed, but, darn it, I forget the dude I just brought up earlier. But, yeah, I did some research, and Parson Adibo, he's easily become one of my favorite corners. Not my favorite, as we're going to get to him next, but I decided to go with him because he's on the thumbnail. But Parson Adibo, phenomenal. Going into this, he actually committed from Notre Dame. He decommitted to go to Stanford. Very smart decision. I'm not exactly sure if he played wide receiver at Stanford. I'm just becoming a fan of Adibo. But going into college, he was a corner and a wide receiver. So I think he played wide receiver his first 2 years. And the last 2 years, very great stat line. Last year, he only played 9 games out of 12 and had 4 interceptions. The year before, he had played all 12 games and had that exact same number. 8 interceptions in 2 years is just phenomenal for a cornerback. And I'm surprised he's not up there as one of the top cornerbacks. But this guy, same thing with Rasheed. I saw the, darn it, and Warren Jackson. I learned this guy from the under-the-radar players. Brendan Eccles of Kentucky. He's just amazing. I think you guys already know how much I love this dude and his skill. But I had to put him on the list. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about him that much because I've already did it in a few other videos. But yeah, Brandon Eccles, phenomenal cornerback. And now for safety, we have 3 safeties. My favorite safety is Paris Ford. Paris Ford is going to be a next level safety and be a beast. I mean a beast. Very physical safety, and starting this offseason, I was a huge fan. I looked deeper into him. This dude's going to be a beast in the NFL, and he has his senior year to go at Pitt, so my bad, redshirt junior. But he's going to be phenomenal for that Pitt team, and definitely is going to be one of their key players on the defense. And then I had trouble deciding my second one, so I decided to throw both of them in there. First is Colby Harvey of Oklahoma State. Very underrated safety, as he's just going to be probably the key defensive player on that Oklahoma State team for this upcoming year. And he's probably going to be one of the reasons why Oklahoma State's defense is going to do so well in the Big 12 this year. And another guy I'm just becoming into, just like what I said about Parson Adibo and the Stills brothers, is Kayvon yeah, I think I said his name, Morig, from TCU, the safety. He's just excellent. Like I said, I'm just becoming into him. But I looked at his highlights and his stats. This dude's already a beast. Going into, I think his, I could be wrong, it's his junior year. I'm not exactly sure, but Kayvon Morig is just going to be amazing for this TCU team, and he's definitely going to be a player I want to watch out for that TCU team. So yeah, that is my 2 to 3 favorite players at each position in all of college football. In the comment section below, which one of these guys is actually your favorite? If I had to give my 3 favorites, it's definitely going to be Rasheed, Bateman, Kenneth, Gainwell, and that third guy, probably either Brandon Eccles or Micah Parsons. So that is it for this video, and yeah, in the comment section below, which is your favorite college football player in the league? So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, subscribe, and like always, have a good day. Peace out. Item to here.